In this video, I will show you how to use v-4 to iterate an array or an object. Let's go to VS Code. First, let me create a Git branch for this view concept, so it will be easier for you to review the code later. Git branch v-4 git switch v-4. Please note, now we're on branch v-4. I prepared the starter code. In this simple example, we define an array called users, and we use the ref method to wrap around this array. On line 3, we use mustache notation to render the content in this array, users. But as you can see here, simply dumping the entire array in the mustache notation will print the JSON version of the array. This is not very user-friendly. Vue.js provides a directive called v-4 to help us iterate through a JavaScript array. So let's refactor the code. So instead of printing this entire array, let's use an HTML unordered list. Here in li, let's use v-4 to iterate through this users array. User in users. So this users is referring to the users we defined in the script. Then inside this li, we can use this variable user to refer to each individual user in the users array. So in mustache notation, user.id, user.name, user.age, and user.isActive. All right, as you can see here, we got a list of users, ID, name, age, and is active or not. Also, it is highly recommended to provide a key attribute with v-4 whenever possible. So here we're going to have a key value using vbind, and the key should be a unique identifier for each user. In this case, I can simply just use user.id because I know that every user's ID is unique. Okay, so let me explain. We can use v-4 to render a list of items based on an array. I think this is the most important application of v-4 is to iterate an array. We are doing that. Make sure you put v-4 on the element that you want to repeat. Many beginners put v-4 here in the unordered list. That's not correct. You don't want to have multiple lists, right? You want one list with multiple list items. So this is the element we want to repeat. That's why we put v-4 here, not here. Okay? The v-4 directive requires a syntax in this form. User in users, where users is the source data array, in this case right here. We define it in the script. And here can be anything. It can be user, or it can be simply just you. But if I change this to you, I also have to change this one to you, this one to you, this one to you, and so on and so forth. Let me change it back. So basically, this user here is an alias for the array element being iterated on. Oh, by the way, you can also use of instead of in, so that it is closer to JavaScript syntax for iterators. But here, I would just use in. Both are okay. Inside the v-4 scope, that is right here, we have access to the user and users. In addition, v-4 also supports an optional second alias for the index of the current item. We can wrap this and use a second alias called index. So here I'm going to print the index. So as we know, the index of array starts at 0. So 0, 1, 2. As I said before, to give Vue a hint so that it can track each element's identity, and thus reuse and reorder existing elements, it is highly recommended that we provide a unique key attribute for each item. Next, let's work on a feature, sort users by age. So here, I'm going to create a button and call this sort users by age. And there will be add click, sort users by age. Then down here, let me define this function. Users dot sort, and here we're going to pass a lambda expression, a comparator, a dot age minus b dot age. So let me click sort users by age. If I click, now as you can see, the array is sorted. Okay, so this array is sorted, and since this array is reactive, this list is updated automatically. Very impressive. Next, let's put this array in an HTML table. I already copied the code, so let me paste it here. So here is the table, and we have the table headers, index, ID, name, age, operation. And our v-4 is here, because this is the element. The row is the element we're trying to repeat. Don't put v-4 on the table element. Instead, put it on the tr element. So we have v-4 user index in users, and the key is user.id. This is the same as the previous example. Then we have index, user.id, .name, .age, and also a button here. Okay, so let me refresh. All right, so now it's not sorted. Let me scroll down here. In the style, here I'm going to define an inactive class. And I want to make inactive users red. Also, text decoration is line through. So right now, John Smith and Tom Doe, they are not active. So I want to make their name red and also put a line through in their name. Then how should I do that? So here is the name. Right now, there is no style. And we can simply just add class inactive. Well, that will make everyone's name red and line through. We don't want to do that. We only want to use this class for users whose isActive is false. How should we do that? Okay, let's use vbind. First, let's change this to vbind class and pass a JavaScript object inactive. And here it will be user.isActive. Well, actually, it should be not. All right. Since John Smith and Tom Doe are not active, their name is red and there's a line through. Very good. Next, I want to implement this deactivate functionality. So if I click deactivate, Franklin Wang's isActive goes from true to false. So here, let's define a add click, and that should be pretty simple. User.isActive is equal to not user.isActive. All right, so basically we're toggling the truth value of isActive. So click here, it is inactive, now active, not active. Active, same thing here. But of course, the text of this button should change. So right now, if it's already inactive, I should change this one to restore or something else. Okay, so let's fix that. So right now it is hard-coded. So based on the truth value of user.isActive, then it is either deactivate or restore. So here, if I deactivate, now it becomes restore. So restore, restore, restore. Okay, great. Next, I'm going to show you how to use v-4 to iterate through the properties of an object. So let's say we want to access the first user's properties. Here is how we can do that. div and v-4. And here we're going to use value in users brackets 0. That's the first one. And here I'm going to print what the value is. So the first value will be the ID. Second value is the name, then age, and is active. So you see it is very easy to iterate through the property values of an object. What if I also want to know the property names? Like here is the ID, and here is the name, this is the age, and this is active. No problem. So here we can have a second alias. It's called key. So here, let me have the key. So as you can see, key value, key value, key value, key value. The first one is the value. The second one is key. Optionally, we can also have an index. Let me put index here. So this index is similar to the index we saw before, 0, 1, 2, 3. v-4 can also take an integer, like this. In this case, it will repeat the span 10 times. By the way, here n starts with an initial value of 1 instead of 0. Now let's apply what we just learned to our Hogwarts shopping cart project. Okay, it's Hogwarts shopping cart time. Let's try to apply v-4 into our project. As you can see here, we have a list of shopping cart items, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And right now, we kind of hard code all of them into the 5 cart list item divs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have the same structure. The only thing that is different is they are rendering different cart items. So it's not a good idea to repeat the same code structure over and over, right? So let's get rid of the last 4 divs. Don't panic, we'll get them back later. Let's only keep one div class equals to cart list item. And let's use v-4 on this div because we want to repeat this div many times. So here we're going to have v-4 item in shopping cart items. And remember that it's always recommended to have a key. That would be the ID of the item. As you can see, now there are 5 dragon levers. Now the reason is we hard-coded the image, the product name, and so on and so forth of shopping cart item 0. And instead, we should replace shopping cart item 0 with item. So let's do this. Here, here, here. Okay, I think that's all. Change them to item. All right. Then magic happens. Look at this. Everything works. But our code size is reduced a lot. Next, let's implement this remove button. So let's go to the button remove right here. Let's define @click. And we're going to call this remove item. And of course, we're going to pass in the item ID. Okay, so here is button @click remove item. Then let's go all the way down. Function remove item. It takes in ID. Step 1, we need to find the index of the item to be deleted. Okay, that's simple. Let index equal to shopping cart items dot find index. Here I have item. Just loop through this list and return the index of the item whose ID is equal to the ID provided by this remove button. Now, next, step 2, delete this item from the list. Shopping cart items. Don't forget dot value, dot splice, index 1. Okay, so let me refresh and let's test. Remove, it's gone. Remove, 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 remove. Everything's gone. Let's open Chrome's DevTools and go to the View extension. As you can see now, there is nothing in the array, shopping cart items. But if I refresh again here, refresh here, I have 5. So delete, 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 delete. Okay. Next, let's go back to Learn View 3 with Bingyang and do a quick summary. The v-4 directive is used for rendering a list of items by iterating over an array or an object. It allows us to template a block of HTML elements that will be rendered once for each item in the collection, creating a dynamic list of elements based on data from our view instance or component. Next, let me push the branch to GitHub. List rendering, git push. Okay, git switch to main. In the next video, let's talk about array change detection in Vue.js. See you there.